Hello everyone, and welcome to our first edition of our distance learning. Today we're going to be working on creating a book that describes a sequence of events that you have experienced. So we're going to be using this model of kind of a storybook or a storyboard to create our end result. So things that you'll need for today are a piece of paper. I'm going to be using a marker so that you guys can see what I'm doing. But for you, you might want a pencil, an eraser, a pen, something to color with. Any of those things work. Okay, so what I've gone ahead and done is this is going to become my planning. So this isn't my finished thing. This is where I'm designing what I'm going to do, because if I want to create that finished work of art, really spend some time on it, I want to make sure that I have my ideas down before I actually start to do my final project. So what I've done here is I've wrote storyboard planning, and I've gone ahead and I've drawn a series of lines, and I made parallel lines like this, and then about halfway down, and then another set to make my boxes. Then I turned my paper on the side, and I went ahead and I connected those boxes, making my storyboard, or my book, have 4 pages. The storyboards are how movies and comics are created, and they're a way of putting down an idea and showing a sequence of ideas, this being the first one, and this being the last one, to create that overall idea. Your pictures can go vertically or horizontally. If they're horizontally, then make sure that this one's your first one and that this one is your last, so that you keep it in sequence. All right, so for the purpose of my demonstration today, I'm going to be doing a book that represents a sequence of events, and that sequence is baking a cake. So when I'm baking a cake, or I'm baking anything, or even cooking, the first step that I have to do is I have to get out the supplies. And this might be something that you've experienced now too, because you've been home for a really long time and maybe had to help with meals. So the first thing that you have to do is you have to visit the refrigerator. So I'm going to spend some time. My counter kind of comes up, so it's very close to my refrigerator. And I'm going to draw the door of it. I'm going to think about the thickness of that door. And then my refrigerator's here. And then there are shelves inside of my refrigerator, like this, and they go back, and they go across, and come down, and then come down. And then there's another shelf, comes down again. And then there might be things like maybe there's a carton of eggs here, so I'm going to draw that carton. And maybe there's like a jar of tomato sauce over here, and maybe down here there's a gallon of milk. And even if I make a mistake as I'm drawing, I'm not going to go ahead and worry about erasing, because I can always erase those things later on. Because when I'm done with this, I would erase this line because you know you couldn't see it through the actual finished project. So I'd take out those supplies. So maybe I can see that there is like a bowl already on the counter, ready to go, and maybe I also have a spatula. And I'm going to use that spatula to mix all my cake ingredients. All right, so my next picture, I'm thinking about what do I do next when I'm creating a cake, when I'm baking something or I'm cooking something. So the next step, I'm going to show a really up-close view of that bowl. So I'm making a really wide oval here, and I'm going to show the thickness of that bowl, and then don't forget to put it on top of the counter so it doesn't look like it's floating. So inside, maybe I'll show that there's a mix, and maybe there's an egg that I put in here, and I haven't whisked it in yet. So maybe you can see another egg that's floating over here, and because of that, maybe there's an eggshell sitting on the counter, but we want to make sure we throw that away so we have no cross-contamination. And then there's maybe my spatula sticking out of my cake batter. So that's our next step. So again, thinking about those sequence of events. So next thing is you have to pour, for me at least, I want to pour that cake batter, and maybe I'm going to put it in to make it a flat cake. So I'm going to pour it into its pan. So I'm going to draw that pan, what that looks like. And again, you can do whatever one you want, but I've been making a lot since I've been on this break, and I want to represent what I've been doing. So then I'm going to show that oval tilted on the side, and I have this nice bowl that I really like using that has a handle. So I'm going to show the handle over here. And then I'm going to show the contents coming out. And they're pouring, and maybe they're filling up. And so I'm really thinking, and I'm thinking through those details. And then finally, I'm going to show the oven. So I'm going to show the oven, and inside the oven, there's a window, and then there's kind of a shelf. But I don't want to draw the shelf just yet. I want to draw the container where my cake is, and it's rising, and then the shelf, and the handle, and maybe all the buttons and the clock, and everything else that goes along with the oven that it's around. All right, so now that I have this sequence of events drawn out, I have a plan. I know what I want to do. Now comes the time with what you're actually going to create this book. So if you want to stop here and this is your book, this is your plan, you want to color this, you're super happy with it, go for it. But for the purpose of this demonstration, I'm going to take it one step further. I'm going to make a new video showing you how to do that next step, and I'll see you then.